The Locked On Podcast Network presents the NBA Big 3 in 30. The 3 biggest stories in the NBA from our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The NBA Big 3 in 30 starts now with the biggest stories in the NBA.
I cannot believe what I just watched.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast.
This game, it took me 20 minutes to just catch my breath and be able to compose my thoughts to record after this game. This game was absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Do want to let you guys know real quick, though, head over to LockedOnDaily.com. Type in your email, you'll get a Locked On Pistons Daily newsletter along with your daily podcast, and also text the number down below if you're watching us on YouTube to join the Locked On Pistons Insiders, 313-914-6528. The Pistons had this game in the bag. Absolutely in the bag. They dominated from the first quarter all the way through the fourth quarter. Then at the end of the game, Tyler Hero goes on another flurry after struggling the entire game. Goes on a flurry, hits multiple threes, including an absolutely insane three at the end of the game, or at the end of the fourth quarter to force overtime, which we'll get into all that later. They should have fouled, but I just need to get out how insane this game was. The Pistons found themselves down 7-6 in the overtime, and then THJ goes on an insane burner, hits 3 straight threes, gets the Pistons back into it, and then Cade hits a game-winning layup at the end of overtime. Pistons get a stop, game over. This game was absolutely insane. I cannot believe, the swings that happened at the end of this game after the Pistons dominated throughout the game. Pistons' biggest lead was 19. I believe they were up by 17 in the fourth quarter. And Tyler Hero went crazy. They weren't able to close it out in the fourth quarter and looked like it was over with in overtime. But THJ, Fleury brought them back in. Cade hits the game-winning layup, and they pull a win out. Should have won this game. I don't view this as stealing a win because the Pistons dominated for about 48 minutes of this game. They should have won. This game should have never even been close in the fourth quarter. Now, they fumbled it away at the end, but I feel like the better team won. The Pistons were the better team for literally 95% of this game. They have to get better at closing games out, but the right team won here. Some quick things now. At the end of the fourth quarter, the Pistons were up by 3 with about 9 seconds left. They decided not to foul. That is highly questionable at the very least. Tyler Hero obviously ends up going on to hit the game or game tying 3 to send to overtime because the Pistons decided not to foul. That was certainly a decision by JB. I think almost everyone else probably would have fouled. I would like to hear what his explanation is after the game for that. But I think you absolutely have to foul in that situation. You absolutely have to. You cannot allow Tyler Hero to even get a shot off. You just can't. After what he's done, you can't do that. So that's first. Second, Cade Cunningham, man. Look, Cade is 23. He's 23 years old. He's not perfect. We are so close. We are so close from the superstar jump from him. We are so close. It probably won't happen this year. It probably won't. But in age 24, 25 seasons next year, 2 years from now, we are this close. We are a slight finishing improvement away from complete superstardom. 20 points, 18 assists, 11 rebounds, plus 9 in this game. Hitting people with Curry slides into pull-up threes. 36% on pull-up threes heading into this game. You are seeing legit two-way play from Cade. You are seeing him put on playmaking masterclasses over and over and over and over again. He's averaging 9.7 assists on the season. He's broken his career high in assists 3 times in the last 4 games. He's averaging 13, or what is it? Where is it? I believe it's 13 and a half assists over the last 4 games. Let me get the exact numbers right in front of me. I had it right here. I closed my phone on accident. Give me just a second. Let me just pull this up. If I could find it. Either way, my point remains. Cade is playing at another level. He's playing like an all-star. And is he a superstar yet? Absolutely not. But we are that close. You can see it. You can see where it's going to happen. Before, it was a question. I believe some people believed, some people didn't. But you are seeing the clear route to superstardom for Cade. He's there as a playmaker. The shooting is here. The pull-up three-point shooting that we begged and talked about coming out of college the last few years, it's here. It's absolutely here. The improvement defensively, it's here. All that is left for Cade, he has to improve his finishing around the basket. He was having an extremely efficient night all the way up until the end of the fourth quarter. All the way up until the end of the fourth quarter, and he missed 2 bunnies at the end of the fourth quarter that he absolutely has to have back, and he has to finish them. We are finishing improvement away from Cade being that guy. He's going to get there. He's been absolutely exceptional. He just had another triple-double. Only LeBron James and Nikola Jokic have more triple-doubles than him. He's been absolutely fantastic. This was the season you wanted to see from Cade. This is what you wanted to see from him. Again, he hasn't been perfect. He still can improve. But you see the pathway. You see it. He's been absolutely exceptional. Absolutely exceptional. I want to save Asar for later because Asar Thompson had by far his best game of the year. I'll have some bigger statements to say when we talk about him a little bit later. But Malik Beasley continues to just absolutely be maybe the best signing of the offseason. He's been absolutely fantastic. When you take into account how much he signed for and the value you're getting for that contract, I mean, he's been absolutely exceptional for the team. 28 points in this game, 9 of 18 from the field, but again, 13 three-point attempts. That's absolutely huge. The Pistons have desperately needed high-volume three-point shooting the last few years, and they're getting that out of Malik Beasley and to a lesser extent THJ. Malik Beasley's hitting threes at a high clip on a high volume. They've needed that. He's been absolutely fantastic. You're not asking Malik to be a playmaker. You're not asking him to drive to the rim. You're asking him to get threes up in a hurry. And he's such a great shooter and such a quick trigger that it's happening every single game. And he's absolutely been fantastic for the Pistons. Fantastic. This was I'm not going to let the end of this game cloud how great this team looked all the way up until then. Now, if they lost, that'd be different. But they ended up winning the game. They pulled it through and they won. So I'm not going to sit here and talk about how they fumbled at the end of the game and just be woe is me. They won the game and they looked, I cannot sugarcoat this at all to you guys. They looked the best they have all season, the first 3.5 quarters of this game. This was the best I've seen the Pistons look all year. And they've had good wins against the Knicks, against the Lakers. They've had good wins. But this game, it was the best they had looked all year for the 3.5 quarters. Cade was putting on an absolute masterclass of picking apart defenses. Asar had his best game of the year. You saw the vision with him and Ron. Defensively, they were getting stops. They were getting out in transition, getting easy dunks, getting layups, cutting off ball, creating open shots. It was everything that you wanted to see from this team. You were seeing Cade at his absolute peak form at a heliocentric offense, picking a team apart with spacing around him and cutters at the right time. He was just in control of the whole game, all the way up until the last of the fourth quarter, and then Tyler Hero did his thing, and the Pistons missed a few bunnies. It happens, but they ended up winning the game. This was, look, again, they threw it away at the end. They tried to completely lose the game, but they didn't. And they put on film for practice the next few days for JB to pull film from that first 3.5 quarters and say, this right here is how we need to play and how we can play every single game, and we'll win games this way. That is the formula right there, how they played for the first 3.5 quarters of this game. It was absolutely fantastic basketball. End of the fourth, look, they almost threw it all away. They did. And it almost gave me a heart attack. I'm telling you this right now. When Jalen Duren switched on when Tyler Hero got the Jalen Duren switch at the end of overtime to win the game, I fell to my knees. And the crazy thing, I am joking a little bit, somewhat, not really, but Jalen Duren did have a really good rep on that switch. He forced a tough shot, forced him to shoot over him, and then Duren in overtime had 5 fouls, didn't foul out, played good defense in that overtime period, had a few good reps in Bam Adebayo as well. So give Duren some credit. I'm only half joking and having fun with that, but that was the switch Miami wanted, and look, Duren came through, and he played well in that overtime defensively, but this was a great game. Cade put on an absolute show. This was fantastic, and the Pistons are maybe, I think, a year and a half away from Cade taking that final breakthrough. He's taking steps each year. Last year he took a step. This year he's taking another big step. We're probably a year away from the big breakthrough when he just officially arrives as a legit top 20 player in the NBA. We're probably like a year and a half away from that, but you can see the pathway now, and he's him, man. He's him.
Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more near you. You can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime.
The clutchiest of all clutch wins. The Nuggets get a big one in Sacramento.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast.
Jamal Murray in the fourth quarter. Let's just do the numbers.
Man.
Against one of the most clutch teams in the league, with a former clutch player of the year, the player that currently leads in all clutch points, De'Aaron Fox. Jamal Murray, 15 points on 5 of 7 shooting, 3 of 3 from 3, 2 of 2 from the line, a rebound and an assist, and a plus 14. He comes back into the game and he saves the day. Your thoughts on this magnificent Jamal Murray game?
And he missed his first 2 shots in that. So he went 5 of 5 to finish the game. And just like, I don't know what it is about these moments, man, but he just finds a way to lock in. And we haven't seen it the entire season. Like, there's no question about it. This is not a regular occurrence for Jamal Murray this season, but it's great to know it's there. It's great to know that he's still got this in him, that he can still go to this moment and go to this bag. 5 of 5 in his final 5 shots, 3 of 3 from 3, and just continues to find ways to say, hey, when we say it's over, he always just finds a way. Let's reel it back in, reel it back in. That's a Matt Moore special right there. I don't get it. I'm still trying to figure him out. Through all of these years, he is an enigma, and that is the best compliment that I could possibly give him.
So, through 3 quarters of this game, well, let's go back. Nuggets come out on fire. Like, they stomp up and down on top of the Kings in the first quarter. They jump out in this first quarter, and it was really impressive. They've talked about how they need to be more aggressive, that they need to hit first, and Aaron Gordon came right out of the gate. 14 points in that first quarter, 5 of 9 shooting, 5 boards. He was everywhere in that first quarter to get the Nuggets a big 41-21 lead after the first quarter.
Absolutely. He was dominant. He was a physical force. You knew that without Keegan Murray in this game, DeMar DeRozan and others were going to have to guard Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter and guys like that. And I thought that Denver did a good job, especially early, of getting the ball to Aaron. It kind of dried up a little bit in the later stages, but he hits a clutch 3 late in this game to kind of get them back over the hump and get them back into this game fully. Just lots of heroes, as you said in the rundown, lots of different guys. Shout out to Russell Westbrook. Let me make sure to do that first and foremost, because one rebound off of a triple-double. He was great throughout this game, and the Nuggets needed every bit of it too.
Yeah, I had a great dime in the fourth quarter to Joker. Okay, so they go up 20 in the first quarter, and then they proceed to lose the second quarter 47-34, and the third quarter 35-21.
Tough.
So they give it all back, and they're kind of hanging around, but the Kings are outplaying them. It's getting away from them. In this game, De'Aaron Fox finishes with 29 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists in this one. Domantas Sabonis finishes with 28 points on 20 shots, 14 boards, 6 assists. Joker goes for 20 points on 19 shots tonight, 14 rebounds, 13 assists, but 5 turnovers. Yeah. Like a legitimately bad game from Joker. He puts up this is okay. I will say this is why I'm always like, don't give me the box score.
Yeah.
Because like this was a bad Joker game, and he had 20 and he wound up with 20 points, 14 rebounds, 13 assists. But it was a bad Joker game.
Like that's how it is. He was not going at Sabonis as much as you would want him to in isolation.
You were livid with Joker for much of this game.
Oh yeah, no, he was brutal. He was horrible. And like that's the thing. When you come to expect the best from the MVP, when you know he's not giving the best, then that is going to frustrate people. It's going to frustrate a lot of people. You always try to give him the benefit of the doubt because he can have moments like he had in the last 5 minutes where he takes over in a lot of big ways, sets the table and runs the 2-man game with Murray. And like he even impacted the final play of the game where DeMar DeRozan sees him coming, fumbles the ball under the basket, and then has to go to the fadeaway on the other side of the rim. So he has these impact moments, and it's why like John Steichen also says tough whistle tonight. This is it was a very physical Mark Davis game, as it always is. You don't care?
I don't, because I'm just like, you guys lead the league in free throws. You lead the league in free throws. You get enough whistles. You had more free throws tonight. Like
it's not that. Also, it's really
and also Ryan, like you're constantly complaining about every call that the other team gets.
I am not complaining about it. You should have seen Swipa. Swipa's timeline today was egregious. For me personally, it's when Peyton Watson goes up into the air and lands on his back and nothing is called. Like just gets taken out from midair. And there are too many of those on both sides. And I made sure to note that it's on both sides of things. Like Mark Davis games suck. They suck so bad. And yet we had what was an awesome finish. Like it just, I don't understand it, man.
Maybe they don't suck so bad. Maybe it's good to just let basketball players play and not reward everything with like, oh my God,
let's let the comments.
He could have been killed. Like, well, maybe we don't have to do that. On the other side, we'll get to this in a second. I want to run down the insane sequence of plays late. In just a phenomenal performance by both sides, and we'll talk about that DeRozan play because I don't. Yeah, Jokic spook. We're giving a lot of credit here for a sequence that worked out well.
Cool.
Russ started tonight for Christian Brown, who had missed. I think this is his first game he had missed.
First game as a starting next to Murray. Yeah. Because Murray has obviously not played in some of these games, but it worked really well. The start is what you're hoping for in the first quarter, and it looked really good. He set the table really well.
So it worked really well early when it was Westbrook and Jokic running pick and roll, and then kicking to Jamal Murray as a spot-up shooter. And then in the fourth quarter, it was Jamal and Jokic running pick and roll, kicking to Russ. And I was like, see, that's where that plan falls apart. That's where that plan goes awry. You got like you honestly, you have to put the ball in Russ's hands if he's going to be in those minutes. Like you have to. It's less a matter of he's so good and just like you can't have him as a spot up shooter because he's a negative.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I think that look, he still found a way. And even on that assist that we were talking about where he set up Joker, he got the pass on the wing and could have taken the shot, but instead he remained patient, found the right play, got the ball to Joker in the middle of the floor, and that was a really good decision. He's capable of making decisions from an off-ball perspective. It's just that sometimes when the shot is so wide open, it is painful to watch.
I want to follow up on this. Ken Patterson says Malone needs to take a tee for Joker. By the way, you can catch us at youtube.com/LockedOnNuggets. Joker gets into a verbal war with the refs. It takes himself out of the game. Sabonis went at Joker tonight. So a couple things here. We've reached a point where Malone, like if Joker wanted that, then Malone would still, because Malone's done it before. Like Malone's gotten texts pretty routinely, I think once per year, but like trying to stick up for Joker and the calls that he gets. But it's also like they're never going to get the calls that people think that he deserves too. Like, that's who Sabonis is. Sabonis is legitimately one of the most physical centers in the league, and it doesn't make any sense with his play style and skill set and body. And it's also, I will say this is unfortunate because it's like Sabonis is just the right size for him to be able to be physical and have it matter. Like, it's not like a little tiny guy, like punching you. It's a big dude who's able to be physical and borderline tiptoes up to the line, I'll say. I don't think he crosses it. I would not call Sabonis a dirty player. I think he's physical. I like those guys.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
I like those guys.
I don't have Go ahead.
And so he's able to get away with it, versus if Joker played like Sabonis does, someone would die because of the size the Joker and muscle that he brings it to the table. So that to me is like kind of the equation there.
There's something to that for sure. It does feel like Joker is just a little bit bigger, but he can't just back directly into Sabonis like some of the other centers in the league, because a lot of those guys are skinny. A lot of those guys are just like, despite the fact that they are very tall, they're still mostly rail thin. So it is interesting how this matchup kind of goes back and forth sometimes. Sometimes Joker kills him and sometimes he really struggles. It's just like, it's a pretty not even matchup, but Sabonis is good enough that he can get back some of that. So interesting. I'll be monitoring this one as the season goes on.
Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same place where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you cash that first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
Where is Thomas Bryant going to have the biggest impact on the Pacers?
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast.
Really must start with Thomas Bryant again. Feels weird doing this after he already scored 7 points for the Pacers, pulled in 2 boards, didn't miss a shot, and had a nice debut. That first stint figuring stuff out, was great after that. I did get a kick out of him. I think he played in the Indy Classic in that building when he was with IU, and he said, oh, yeah, I remember playing, I'm paraphrasing, but he remembered playing in Bankers Life Fieldhouse. I was like, oh, yeah. Some new lingo to learn here. That made me smile. I found that quite endearing. So Thomas Bryant, the thing that stands out about him, among many things, right? Like, this guy scored 14 points a game in his career. He scored 13 points a game in a season where he actually played. He's been a 7 rebounds a game kind of guy. Like, he's put up numbers before in decent minutes. That was with the crappy Wizards team. But, you know, that kind of production doesn't just like happen. And all of those years, he was shooting pretty solidly well from the field, over 60% in 2 of those years. And so obviously it's unrealistic to suspect that this is like a, you know, really awesome offensive weapon. If he was that great, he'd be playing all the time. He wasn't really playing for the Heat. But when you dive into what he's done well before and why he keeps landing on teams, why teams want him, right, is that he's got a lot of versatility on the offensive end of the floor. And I think that actually makes him a pretty good fit with the Pacers specifically. I kind of alluded to this before when I talked about the equation of him and Jalen Smith's similarities. Not that he's as good as Jalen Smith, right? Jalen Smith just got paid a bunch of money this summer for good reason. But Jalen Smith could shoot well. Last year was scorched earth the first couple months of the season, but could also go inside, had some force down there, and battle on the glass. And if you look at Thomas Bryant's offensive abilities in his career, that really stands to similar reason to me, right? Without diving into the specific play type numbers, which we'll do in just a second, for his career, not just last season or anything, his entire career, he's finished 80% of his shots from 0 to 3 feet. That's crazy good. That's crazy good. Very good dunk guy, which matters to me. Like, I think it's very frustrating when players try to have touch when they can just dunk. Just dunk it, man. He's a dunk guy. He's a strong finisher on the rim. He's got decent enough touch in the mid-range. It's not great, but 53.6% for his career from 3 to 10 feet. So in the paint, you can expect that he is going to make the shots when he does decide to take them. And that's a large percentage of his shots, right? That's over 60% of his looks come from inside 10 feet. And so that's obviously good, right? A big man who can score inside, full stop, that's good, right? But the versatility part comes that he has a jumper. What was his first shot with the Pacers? Bouncing it in from a free throw line jumper. What was one of his other made shots in his Pacers debut? A three. And that's where the Jalen Smith part really kind of clicks. You know, for all the things Isaiah Jackson is good at, the jumper has never really been a part of his game. He can do it. It's just not necessarily something he likes liked to go to or will continue to go to in the future. Moses Brown, certainly not a jumper guy. James Wiseman working on it like Jackson, but not a jumper guy. Thomas Bryant is a jumper guy. Over 20% of his shots in his career from deep. And some seasons they have fallen at a high clip. Last year with the Heat was not one of them. We'll get into that when we get into play type data. So that kind of range really comes into a package of a player who can do lots of stuff. Pick and pop, pick and roll. Inside the paint, you're comfortable throwing it to him. He's a smart cutter. People will laugh, but the famous picture of him cutting into space as LeBron is turning and shooting what could be the iconic shot to set the record for points in NBA history that he made. Thomas Bryant cuts to the basket and posts up in the middle of the photo. It's awesome. That's the kind of thing that he does. So that is like the standout, zoomed out picture without getting into any play type data is he has offensive versatility. But if you really want to dive in, and then again, this is a how he can help thing. This is positive stuff. He's got defensive concerns. Certainly, if he was, really strong at all this stuff, he'd play more often. But if you dive into play type stuff, it kind of paints a similar picture, just on a very much more micro level. Last year with the Heat, he was their backup for at times in the season. He was their backup at times last season. 38 games played for them, dealing with injuries at times. Then they got, different players and he fell out of the rotation. But in those 38 games, he was awesome on putbacks, ranking in the 87th percentile in the NBA in terms of points per possession. He was 90th percentile on post-ups, only 36 of them the whole year, but finished those very well. Was good in pick and rolls. Most of his pick and do something, right? Pop, roll, slip, whatever. 36 of the 47 screens he set and then did something last year. He was rolling with the Heat, so more often than that, even though he can be a pop threat, and he finished his rolls very well, right? He was 1.4 points per possession on those. Did not finish pick and pops well at all last year. And that's what's really interesting is he shot it well from three this ongoing season. He shot it very well from three the season before last year, but was dreadful last year in his 38 games. 18.2% that first season with the Heat. Just dreadful. It's only 4 for 22. That's small volume, but for a guy whose whole career has been not like that, even though he's definitely a small volume shooter, he's never taken 100 in a season. We're at 350 for a career. Like, that's enough for me to feel like he can make them, and it's okay if he takes 1 or 2 a game. He was off, really off last year with the Heat, but still did stuff around the basket with the putbacks and the post-ups, and the spot-ups went bad, the pick and pops went bad, but when he did stuff around the basket, it was good. His cutting was his most common play type, which makes sense in a Miami team, right? But then you go back a year prior, and that he split time with the Lakers. He technically split time between the Lakers and the Nuggets, but a very, very, very large portion of his minutes that year, 876 of the 1,081. So about 85% came with the Lakers, and he shot much better that year. And that year, his synergy page is crazy. Pick and roll as the roll man, and anything he did, roll man, pops, and slipping all together, 87th percentile finishing plays from those. 1.4 points per possession on rolls, 1.19 on pick and pops because he made his threes that year, especially with the Lakers, 44% from deep with the Lakers that season on his 53-point attempts. So those plays looked good. Turns out playing with LeBron's pretty helpful. 90th percentile finishing plays on cuts. 94th percentile in transition. That's going to matter a lot with the Pacers. Last year's 99th percentile in transition, albeit on 16 possessions with the Heat. Very small volume. 87th percentile on offensive rebound putbacks with the Heat, and 92nd percentile on spot ups with that Lakers team. I just said the Heat, I meant the Lakers. So 2 years ago, he was a beast offensively, and the Lakers got rid of him. I can't remember if there was he wanted to be relocated. I remember reading some reporting about that. And then he won the championship with the Nuggets. So good for him. But with that, what stands out to me about all that is even though you look at a page where their points per possession rating, Synergy has their terms to define it. It just says excellent, 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 excellent for all these stats. Like, you can't expect that from a backup center. But the fact that in pockets of his career, that's what he's been, tells the same story as a lot of his macro stats do, which is he can do a lot of things. And I think that is going to be where he presents his value on offense, especially playing with a group that has McConnell and Toppin and whoever sticks with that group when health returns, is that if they need him to provide spacing and set screens for McConnell, he can. I thought his screening looked good in his debut. And that, of course, you're not going to have good pick and whatever stats if you don't set good screens. If they need him to space around those two, he can. If Toppin spacing and he needs to go to the basket or cut, he can. Like, once he gets some synergy with that group, I'm not saying he'll be as good as the backup centers the Pacers have had in recent seasons with Jackson and Smith, but I think he can do pretty well because of that versatility. I think it will fit in the system. And if he can run, which he can run, he's got not quite Gazelle-like, but he is pretty mobile. I think if you just had to tell me how Thomas Bryant can help the Pacers, I would just say offensive versatility, and that will make him a good fit. I like what the numbers say about how that fit will go. The question is, how consistent can he be? And in terms of how much he can help in terms of what that peak can be, I think the standout things will be, does his rebounding look awesome or just good? And can he defend at all? Defense, as with many bigs who can't get on the floor a ton, will be very important, right? If he can clean up misses, that'll help a lot, obviously. But if he can actually do what he did against the Pelicans a few times and thwart some shots and be a big body around the basket and force guys to miss, or at least consider, oh, crap, there's a defender down there, that's what will swing how much he can help. But what I almost guarantee he will be able to help the Pacers with is providing a versatile offensive threat inside and out.